सर्वमंगल मांगल्ये शिवे सर्वार्थ साधिके शरण्ये त्र्यंबके गौरी नारायणी नमोस्तुते नारायणी नमोस्तुते नारायणी नमोस्तुते। Namaste. Welcome to Vishwa Yoga. My name is Vishwa, and today I will talk about Devi Kula. Devi means here Divine Mother. My obeisance to the Divine Mother, who is always in union with Lord Shiva. Mother, you are the power or Shakti of Shiva as Shiva, and Narayani or Yogamaya Shakti of Narayan or Vishnu. You are the giver and fulfiller of all the desires and objectives. You are the Brahman, the one supreme reality. From you, the Trinity manifest. Please guide me to share this knowledge. Initially, the plan was something else, but based on your interest and questions, I decided to share more and put things in perspective. Since Tantra truly thrives in Shakta tradition, and to cover even just fundamentals, lots of basic concepts need to be flushed out. So I divided into a multi-part video. First, I will cover the common philosophy, structure, common terms, and methods of practices. And then I will dive into a specific kula. Hopefully that will clarify a lot of things. But before that, I just want to take a moment and say thank you so much for your interest and support from all around the world. You know who you are. I really appreciate your genuine interest. As some of you asked about story, I will share a beautiful story with its spiritual meaning after I cover the basics. So please watch it till the end. Keep in mind, I will cover the metaphysical concept of Shiva Shakti tradition in a separate video. Here I am just sharing few nuggets to set the foundation. I assume you have watched my previous videos. If not, I will add links to some of the important ones connecting to this topic in the description. I'm going to purposely use very simple terms and avoid complex philosophical terms so that it is easier for everyone to understand. So to begin with, the exact time of the origin of Shakta Tantra is unknown. But as per text, Shakta Tantra was first shared by Adi Shakti or Divine Mother to her consort, Lord Shiva. As per Tantric text, Devi formally initiates Shiva in Shakta tradition. So Adi Shakti becomes the Guru and Shiva her student. Shiva further illuminated the universe through his energy or Shakti, which is none other than Devi herself, which started the golden age or Satyuga. Please keep in mind, Shiva and Shakti are just like two faces of the same coin. They are never separate, but it is just for the play or the Leela of the Supreme Brahman, which manifest in different names and forms. So Shakta tradition was taught by Shiva Shakti, taking different names and forms as divine beings in the form of god or goddess, passed down the knowledge to sages or siddhas or masters. These names vary in different schools and lineage. I will share few names as I dive into the respective Kula or tradition. So now let's understand the Shakta philosophy at a very high level. So in Shakta tradition, Adi Parashakti is the supreme Brahman. Here Brahman is considered as the supreme mother or feminine principle. This is the unmanifested state or a state of dissolution. When manifestation or creation begins, Brahman divides herself into two, Shiva as pure consciousness and Shakti as the power of consciousness. In the other Tantric tradition, the unmanifested Supreme Brahman is considered as the Supreme Father or masculine principle, such as Param Shiva or Param Vasudeva in Shaiva and Vaishnava tradition. But when manifestation or creation begins in both Shiva and Shakta tradition, Shiva is always the highest principle or tattva. Shiva is the consciousness of Shakti, and Shakti is the power of Shiva. That's why you will see always the consciousness or Shiva is always teaching as Guru through the power of his consciousness is Shakti. It is said that without Shakti, Shiva is Shava or corpse. In the highest essence, they are not different. Rather, two faces of the same coin. Here, I am talking about Shakta's perspective, so I will look from Shakti's point of view. In a Shiva Shakti philosophy video, you will see multiple divisions and multiple terms. They are only used for philosophical understanding. The same Shakti and Shiva in the manifested reality is also referred as Kula, Akula. In simple words, Kula means Shakti or Devi. Akula means Shiva, or Akula refers to the changeless, unmanifested, transcendental state, the pure consciousness without any attribute, or called Nirguna. Whereas Kula refers to changing, manifested reality, dynamic state of energy with attributes, or called Saguna. In other words, the term Akula refers to the eternal being and Kula to eternal becoming. The union of Kula and Akula can be expressed as Sachitananda, means pure eternal bliss or Brahman. Here conceptually Shiva represents the masculine and Shakti feminine principle. So the word Devi and Kula are synonymous here. But to be more precise, Devi means goddess and Kula means her family. So Devi Kula means Shakta Tantra, in which Shakti is worshipped. So what is the meaning of the word Shakti? The word Shakti is made of two words, Shak and Ti. It means that which is able to. So it refers to the ability, power, strength, energy, or to be more precise, the primordial cosmic power which makes everything move. For example, movement of our breath, movement of our heartbeat. Shakti is also known as Vimarsha, means the power of deliberation, and that reflective awareness of the consciousness. This is the power of manifestation that is visible in different names and form in this creation, including this body, mind, 5 elements from which everything is made of. So Shakti takes different forms. In different tantric texts, Shakti has multiple levels and different names and forms. But here I will keep it simple. One of the names of Divine Mother is Mahamaya, means Maha means supreme and Maya means illusion. Maya is the illusory power of the Brahman, which causes the creation. Remember this name. I will refer to it later, even in the story. This power is of two kinds. One is called avidya or Prakriti, which is the power to bind the immortal soul to the mortal body by creating ignorance and illusion. In the second one, she is the power of true knowledge or called vidya, which dispels ignorance and illusion. This is the highest principle. This is the state of Para-Brahman. The word Maya is generally used as Prakriti. Now let's dive into Prakriti and the creation first. Except for few blessed ones, rest of us live under the power of Prakriti or Avidya Maya. If you have watched the video on Shamkhya and Yoga philosophy, you know that Prakriti is the mother and cause of all creation. Prakriti has three attributes called Gunas. First is Sattvic state, which refers to word pra, which relates to a peaceful and balanced state with purity, through which we can see the reality. Second is Rajasic state, refers to word kri, which relates to the movement of energy with passion or excitement that veils the reality. And the third one is Tamasic state, refers to the word ti, which refers to ignorance, darkness, and lethargy. Under that influence, we see a distorted reality. These gunas are represented in the different forms of the Divine Mother. The simplest one is Saraswati, Lakshmi, and Durga respectively, though the other popular forms are such as Ma Parvati, Gayatri, Sita, and Radha. Most Indians celebrate festivals named after them such as Saraswati Puja, Lakshmi Puja, and Durga Puja. Many people usually relate Durga with tamas, but please keep in mind that there are 9 forms of Durga and 10 Mahavidyas, and each form is associated with one of the guna. So, not all the forms of Durga relate to Tamasic guna. So, I refrain from categorizing the popular form of Durga as purely Tamasic form. She transforms into all attributes and even beyond. Durga means invincible. In Tantra Yoga, Ma Durga represents our third chakra, where we need to work on. It is associated with the power of transformation. The same Durga transforms herself into Lakshmi, goddess of wealth and prosperity. Then she transforms into Ma Saraswati, goddess of all kind of knowledge, including arts, science, and spiritual knowledge. And then she transforms into Ma Kali, the goddess of time, universal power, life, death, and liberation. Ma Durga is the goddess of strength and justice, who brings compassion, peace, calmness, order to the chaos, destruction, and conflict by removing all kinds of limitations. In each kula, you will see later these 3 gunas are represented. So this creation is made of 3 gunas. The same is mentioned in Bhagavad Gita by Lord Krishna. The Divine Mother takes these forms of 3 gods and goddesses such as Brahma and Saraswati, Vishnu and Lakshmi, Rudra and Rudrani, or you can call it Durga, to create, sustain and transform the creation. The continuity of the universe happens through the cycle of creation and destruction called Srishti and Pralay. Since we already talked a little bit about the creation, so let me talk about the dissolution. In reality, this is happening every moment. Besides our actual birth and death, millions of cells in our body are dying and being recreated. This is eternal and continuous pralaya, shows up as a gradual change, for example, our aging. So both these creation and destruction is happening at their own pace. Every destruction is connected with new creation. This process is called pralaya or dissolution. Different scriptures mention various names of the same. But for easier understanding, I will share my perspective to explain the play of Mahamaya at 3 different levels. One is at the human level, divine level, and supreme Brahman level. The creation process I will cover into philosophy video, but here I will talk quickly about dissolution process. So on the highest level, there are 3 types of pralayas. One is called eternal or nitya pralaya, which is happening every night during our sleep. When we sleep, no world or individuality exists. We submerge into pure consciousness. In simple words, we recharge our battery through a good night's sleep or restful sleep. As we wake up, our world springs up. And this is the most relatable type. In each dissolution, something is destroyed and something is restored. Finally, one day we die and dissolve in Prakriti forever. As time passes, one era or yuga changes. That is called yugantara. Certain life, a species, certain abilities get destroyed. In this way, when our 4 yugas change, it is called manvantara. The majority of things on the earth get destroyed. Here Adi Shakti takes the form of Lord Vishnu to restore the universe. The second type relates to the creator Brahma. Once he goes to sleep, dissolution begins. The whole universe submerges and recharges into pure consciousness again. One day of Brahma is called Kalpa, and this is very long time in terms of human years. To understand this concept, think of a day on Earth compared to a day on Mars, Jupiter, or Saturn. In the same way, a day of Brahma is different than a day of Vishnu, and a day of Vishnu is different than a day of Rudra. So this dissolution is called Kalpa Pralaya or Naimittik Pralaya. In every Kalpa, besides Nitya, another kind of Pralaya happens, which is called Kamika Pralaya, in which even divine beings, God or goddesses, lose their desire and passion due to the destruction of Kama by Lord Shiva, which is later restored by Adi Shakti in the form of Ma Kameshwari. I may share this story in the next video, only if you are interested to hear it. Finally, when the life of Creator Brahma comes to end, it is called Mahapralaya, and this is the dissolution. And this dissolution is handled by Lord Shiva as Rudra. Now the third type, which is Supreme One. It relates to Prakriti herself. In this stage, her Triguna attributes and 5 functions, including Trinity, all dissolve in the pure consciousness, also referred as Moola Prakriti or Supreme Brahman, called Adi Parashakti in Shakta tradition. It is the same as Param Shiva in Shaiva tradition and Param Vishnu or Vasudeva in Vaishnava tradition. This dissolution lasts for eons. During this dissolution, the Prakriti or Maya goes to sleep and remains in the latent state, merged into the Para-Brahman. When Adi Shakti, Para-Brahman, desires to become many again, Triguna Shakti or Maya wakes up into a dynamic state and the cycle of creation and destruction begins. So you may get curious that I heard about Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, Lakshmi, Saraswati, Durga, but what about Ma Kali? You know, Ma Kali is eternal. The word Kali comes from Kal. Kal means time. It is said that all other gods and goddesses may appear or disappear at some time, but Mahakal and Mahakali, none other than Shiva and Shakti, are always present as a time from birth to death and beyond. Now let's understand the philosophy as which school Shakta philosophy is connected to. You may have guessed it. You see, the duality of Shamkhya is there, but this is used as the foundation leading to Advaita or non-duality by using the bridge of yoga philosophy. It is also important to mention that Shakta's non-duality philosophy is not the same as Advaita Vedanta philosophy, but very, very close. And that's why it is called non-dualistic Shakti or Shakta Advaita or Shakta Advaitavad, in which Shakti is considered as the supreme Brahman. In Advaita Vedanta, Shakti is considered as illusion. Everything is supreme Brahman, which is neither masculine or feminine. As I talked about the creation and dissolution, let me connect these dots. Devi in Sri Kula is related to creation, sexuality or birth, and Devi of Kali Kula is related to dissolution and death. Our life is between the birth and death. So this is the very basic philosophy of Devi Kula. Now let's dive into the structure of Devi Kula. If you remember, I talked about the two main families of Shakta tradition. They are referred to as Sri Kula and Kali Kula. The word Kula is referred to Devi or Shakti and her family. The 10 Mahavidyas are simply divided into two groups or Kulas. According to Niruttara Tantra, there are additional forms within each group. So each family or Kula has approximately 10 different forms of Devis. For simple understanding, one family has beautiful and a pleasant form, also known as Ati Saumya Rupa, and the other family has most terrifying forms, also known as Ati Vikral or Rudra Rupa. Each Kula has a presiding deity and a shrine known as Adi Shakti Peeth or the seat of primordial Shakti. Both Kulas are very ancient and have references to Vedic and Tantric texts. The archaeological evidence shows that the Shiva and Shakti were worshipped for over 10,000 years. If you are curious, you can watch my video titled as History and Timeline of Yogic Civilization. In the oldest text Veda, Devi Suktam proclaims the supremacy of Divine Mother as the sovereign queen from whom all forms manifest and life is sustained. In Ratri Suktam, she is all-pervading who fulfills all the prayers. In Sri Suktam, she is the ruling power within all beings. In Durga Suktam, she is invoked as fire, from which Vedas are born. In Vedas, Devi is worshipped with many other names. To name a few, Usha, Prithvi, Aditi, Sita, Annapurna, Bhavana, Gayatri, Uma, Durga, Bhavani, and Tripura. Though both Vedic and Tantric scriptures worship Mother Goddess, but in general, Shakti is more emphasized in Tantric tradition. However, in recent times, Shakta tradition practices were more visible and recorded between 5th and 9th century. This is the time when Kashmir Shaivism also evolved and helped to shape it up. And then around 10th century, Shakta Tantra branched out completely as an independent tradition. Geographically speaking, today Sri Kula practitioners are more found in southern India, while Kali Kula is more dominant in northern India, especially in the eastern region. There are 51 Shakti Pithas or shrines established by Lord Shiva, mostly located in India. Others are located in the neighboring countries like Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Nepal, and Tibet. But 4 of them are considered as the ultimate, called Adi Shakti Peeth, and they are located in the eastern state of India. In that, Shamkhya and Kali temple are the most revered among all and is the seat of Ma Kameshwari and Ma Kali. I was blessed to be born in one of the cities of Mahashakti Peeth, plus had the privilege to visit the top 2. This is a Puranic story about the formation of these shrines. Some of you might know about Shiva and Ma Sati, but I will skip that to keep the video short and focused. Now let me talk about Tantric texts and schools. There are a total of 77 Tantric texts in this tradition. As you can see, they are divided into 3 main schools. A majority of them, 64, belong to Kala or Kula school, which I have already covered in one of the previous videos. To minimize the confusion, I will try to use the word Kala for school and Kula for family, such as Kali Kula or Sri Kula, though both words are used interchangeably. Here, I will do a quick recap of schools just for the relevance. So the Samkhya school is purely focused on internal practices. On the other side, Kala school focuses on external practices, and Mishra school combines some practices from both sides. Thus, it is called middle path. This means the middle path practitioner can be either on the right hand or left hand path, depending on the mix. So as you can see, Kala school here has 2 main visible branches, Dakshina and Bama. All these schools and branches culminates into 2 paths, right and left. For example, Samkhya, Mishra Dakshina and Kala Dakshina schools belong to right hand path, which uses orthodox practices which are accepted in society and by the Vedic system. Thus, the right hand tantric practices can be combined with Vedic practices. Thus, many orthodox teachers start to label and promote it as Vedic practices and avoid the use of the word Tantra due to some conditioning, even though it is a tantric practice. This creates a lot of misunderstanding. On the other hand, branches, for example, Mishra Vama or Kala Vama. Vama means left, which uses non-orthodox practices. This path is followed by independent thinkers. Many of these practices do not comply with all social norms, thus referred to as left-hand path. Since the right-hand path was already observed and projected as a Vedic path, the remaining left-hand path got more identified and perceived as Tantric path, especially in the last few hundred years. So in reality, both right-hand and left-hand paths are part of Tantric practices. But the truth is, the right-hand Kala school, Dakshina, is the place where you actually get initiated to start the Tantra journey. After that, based on your progress and temperament, the teacher further guides you to the next level according to the lineage. For example, in this diagram, here Misra school with right hand approach leading to Samkhya school, but you started in Kala, right hand path. In all these tantric practices, the highest goal remains the same: Kundalini awakening. The word Kala or Kula is also related to Kundalini. Right hand path practices only include sattvic objects and processes, but left hand path practices and rituals include rajasic and tamasic objects as well. Each path and school has its own value and place. Some may claim that one path is superior than the other, or may even condemn other paths. I am just sharing these things as they are, and I believe each path leads to the same destination if you are qualified for it. Some paths may attract or even soul to you, but depending on your temperament, you find your path. If any path does not match your temperament, sooner or later you will lose the interest. So now, to summarize this, many practitioners try to define all these paths in another way. They divide it as Vidya Tantra and Kula or Kala Tantra. Here, Vidya means Devi's mantra. Mantra and Vidya words are synonymous. One applies to masculine energy, the other to feminine energy. In short, those schools of Tantra that emphasizes Devi's mantra practice with or without ritual are referred to as Vidya Tantra. For example, Samkhya school, and it relates to Sri Vidya. And Kula Tantra employs Kala school methods but also include Devi's mantra and Kala rituals. In each Kula, both options are there. On a very high level, today in Sri Kula, more practitioners use right hand path method, and in Kali Kula, it is mixed, or it more lean towards the left hand path methods. So that was the core philosophy plus some basic structure of Shakta Tantra. So now it's time for sharing the beautiful story of Devi or Mahamaya. You know, Puranas are full of stories. Some people take these stories literally as it is and enjoy them. But I also seek the spiritual meaning or message behind the story to reflect on it as how it relates to our life. So I will share this story in both ways, and you decide what suits best to you. So here is the story. It is mentioned that once Lord Vishnu was resting in Yoga Nidra or meditative sleep. After dissolution, he was relaxing. From his earwax, two demons were born, named as Madhu and Katav. They decided immediately to go on a tapas or a great worship or penance of Mahadevi to get immortality. It's very interesting, in all these stories, all the demons want immortality. Anyway, since immortality is against the law of nature, so Devi granted them a boon to be invincible until they choose to die. After this boon, with pride, they came back and started to attack Brahma, the creator. But Brahma could not withstand them, and he wanted to seek help from Lord Vishnu, the protector. But he was asleep under the influence of Nidra Devi. So Brahma could not wake him up. So he prayed to Devi. Thus, Devi withdrew the Tamoguna, and Lord Vishnu wake up to help and fight with demons without knowing the boon. So this fight lasted for a very long time. Demons could not be defeated. Lord Vishnu got tired and also perplexed. So he asked the demons, "Hey, each of you is taking a turn to fight with me while the other one is resting. But I did not get a chance to rest. So give me some time to rest, and then we will continue this fight." They agreed. So Lord Vishnu closed his eyes and meditated upon Mahamaya or Devi, and came to know that what boon she had given. So requested her help. So Devi guided Lord Vishnu and used her Maya to appear as a very attractive woman in front of demons. Now Lord Vishnu started the fight, but at the same time he started to praise their bravery and fighting skills, and asked these demons that they should ask for a boon because he is so happy with their skills. These demons, with eyes fixed on the beauty of Devi, they felt their pride hurt in receiving a boon from Lord Vishnu. So in turn, they asked Lord Vishnu, "Oh no, you ask us for a boon and we will grant you." And this is the moment Lord Vishnu was waiting for. And he asked, "I want you both to be killed with my hand." And thus they got tricked and got killed by their own will or desire. Now the spiritual meaning or the moral of the story, as it was explained to me by my master, he said, "As you know, there is another name of Lord Vishnu called Narayan, which means the one who rests on the water. Each of us has rested on the water in the mother's womb. So each of us represent as a Narayan. But when we are asleep under the influence of Tamoguna, or you can say under the influence of ignorance, these two demons are born in our life, which is called craving and aversion. Madhu means honey or sweet, or the things which we crave for, and Kataba literally means kadva, or it represents hate, dislike, or aversion. All our life we keep fighting with these two demons, and we are not even aware of it. What we want and what we don't want, this is the fight continues in our life. So Devi in the story represents the compassion and true knowledge called Vidya. Once you apply the true knowledge, you acknowledge these demons within ourselves, and with compassion and love and taking the smart action or karma, you defeat them. I hope you enjoyed this story. So this was the common philosophy and basic structure of Devi Kula with a beautiful story. I hope it was useful and have clarified some of your doubts. In my next video, I will cover the fundamental methods used in tantric practices. Thank you for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Namaste. Thank you so much for listening. If you like the information, please subscribe, like, and share so that everyone else can also enjoy this.